Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to talk about Diablo Immortal topping $100 million in player spending in 8 weeks. We'll look into how this compared to some other big games in mobile, and we will read over this article right here on videogameschronicle.com. I like to do this about every week or two just to keep an eye on the gaming market, how it relates to Diablo Immortal, as that is what we cover on this channel, and that's what you subscribe for. So we're going to give you some context on what is going on in this $100 million 8 weeks for Diablo Immortal. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so we've got Diablo Immortal mobile tops 100 million in player spending in 8 weeks. This figure expected to swell following this week's Chinese launch. And also, I will link to this article down below. As always, if you want to pull up the source materials, look over it on your end. But yeah, the game has not even been live in the Chinese market yet, and obviously that number is going to skyrocket once it is exposed to a huge market like that. So it really means there isn't going to be much of an excuse when it comes to cranking out content and supporting this game long term from Activision Blizzard's end, because obviously the revenue is there, and there's no reason to not reinvest some of that because the potential is there for a long-term success, and it's been blowing the doors off of revenue out the gate here. So obviously there's a lot of justification to throw more resources at it to make the game more robust and give the players something to really excite them in game, so that the game has a higher opportunity to really sustain long term. But let's go ahead and scroll down and continue reading here. So the mobile version of Diablo Immortal has reportedly generated over $100 million in 8 weeks. That's according to data published on Thursday by mobile market intelligence firm Sensor Tower. So yep, they are one of the go-to sources for acquiring some of this information around revenue and daily downloads and stuff like that around mobile games. In comparison, Pokemon Go took 2 weeks to generate 100 million in player spending, and Fire Emblem took 10 weeks. Now, so that means Pokemon Go was generating revenue faster than Diablo Immortal. I never played Pokemon Go. It's probably one of the most mainstream, huge games that I never played 1 second of. But I remember the hysteria. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Everyone I knew was walking around, staring at their phones, trying to catch Pokemon in Pokemon Go. People were like meeting up and having parties to run around and walk around town, and it was insanity. Everyone was playing it. I think I really felt like I was the only person not doing it. I don't see Diablo Immortal at that level of hysteria. It's definitely a popular game in the RPG genre, but I don't think it's at the level of Pokemon Go, and obviously the revenue is reflecting that. This is saying Pokemon Go took 2 weeks to get 100 million in player spending, and Diablo Immortal took 8 weeks. So that means Pokemon Go was 400% as fast out the gate for generating revenue. As we go on, we've got Blizzard claimed on July 23rd that Diablo Immortal had been installed over 20 million times. Sensor Tower said Blizzard's free-to-play game is the number 13 revenue-generating mobile title worldwide since its release on June 2nd. That's probably about where I would have guessed. I would have probably guessed, if you asked me before launch, I would have said somewhere between 5 and 15. So maybe a little bit on the low end. I knew it was going to be kind of big like this. And honestly, it's probably even a little bit underperforming compared to what I would have thought. So number 13, after about 8 weeks, I would have guessed somewhere around like number 6 or 7 if you'd have asked me before launch. The game has made most money in the United States, followed by South Korea and Japan. Revenue generated from the game is expected to swell following its delayed Chinese release on Monday. We already covered that. According to Sensor Tower, Diablo Immortal was the most downloaded app on the App Store during its first 2 days in China. It was the 3rd highest grossing game in China on July 25th, and the 2nd highest grossing game or grossing title on July 26th. Then it looks like we've got a chart right here from Sensor Tower, and what this is depicting is how many weeks it took for a game to reach 100 million on mobile, and then it's got a little caveat down here that it says does not include revenue from third-party Android stores in China or other regions. Okay, so we've got Pokemon Go obviously setting the standard. Like I said, that was complete hysteria. 2 weeks to hit 100 million. Diablo Immortal right behind it at 8 weeks. You've got Fire Emblem Heroes coming in at 10 weeks, Fortnite at 12 weeks. Now, Fortnite, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a super expert on Fortnite. I don't think Fortnite is super pay to win. I think it's mostly like cosmetic type stuff, emotes and things like that. I don't think it's any sort of like a gacha game, you know, where you're like gambling loot boxes and stuff to make your heroes better. So that's pretty impressive that even Fortnite was at 12 weeks. And then we've got Final Fantasy, A New Empire right there at 22 weeks. Now, it's not showing Genshin Impact on here. Genshin Impact was a massive crazy revenue generator. I'm not seeing it on there. Maybe they just didn't include it or something. I would have guessed that it would be in the same realm as like a Diablo Immortal for sure. They go on to say Diablo Immortal, which is also available for PC, has received strong criticism for its handling of microtransactions. That's the understatement of the year. Definitely the most, I've said this in a couple other videos, but the most mainstream that I've seen backlash for a game go. We've seen companies like EA and Activision and stuff like this get backlash before, but the backlash Diablo Immortal, it was a whole new level, in relation to how many like YouTube videos were out there getting millions of views about it, and like politicians talking about it, mainstream media, Washington Post type stuff. Like the mainstream level of the backlash of Diablo Immortal was something I'd never really seen before. So saying strong criticism is even an understatement. It's been claimed that it could cost players up to $110,000 to fully upgrade a character. I'm glad this is getting a little bit more accurate. Back when Diablo Immortal first came out, we were seeing people say cost 500,000 or $1 million, and this is fair. It's going to be probably somewhere between like 60 and 125,000 depending on what build you're doing and the RNG involved. But yeah, 110,000, that's probably what you could expect if you really want to max out a full build. So Blizzard president Mike Ybarra defended Diablo Immortal's use of microtransactions in a LA Times interview earlier this month. I actually did a video covering that, and my context around Blizzard's president Mike Ybarra defending Diablo Immortal's monetization. I'll try to remember to link to that over there if you would like to see that one as well. And then the last paragraph here, when we think about monetization at the very highest level, it was, how do we give a free Diablo experience to hundreds of millions of people where they can literally do 99.5% of everything in the game? He said the monetization comes in at the end of the game. I covered that in the article. If you want to see my take on some of this stuff, I'll link to it down there. The philosophy was always to lead with great gameplay and make sure that hundreds of millions of people can go through the whole campaign without any cost. From that standpoint, I feel really good about it as an introduction to Diablo. Obviously, that is a heavily spun take that gamers would not agree with. Gamers view the campaign as the tutorial. That's not the finished product of the game. That's just your introduction to finishing your character for the leveling process, and then transitioning to enjoying the game long term when you get into the end game mechanics. But I talked about that in the full article discussing this that I remembered to link to back then. So yeah, definitely interesting to see how Diablo Immortal compares to some of these games out there in the market. And honestly, you know, the market is a lot more robust now than it was back when Pokemon Go launched. There's probably like double the amount of people playing mobile games now than there was back when Pokemon Go launched. So if Pokemon Go released today, it would probably do it in a week. So definitely insane, but pretty impressive that Diablo Immortal hit it in 8 weeks. And anybody that plays the game and sees the monetization systems in place, when you pair that with a big IP and a massively popular game with a tons of following, not surprising that that Diablo Immortal is having this kind of revenue. But we'll continue to follow it here on the channel and keep you up to date on the news surrounding Diablo Immortal. You know, we'll hit it once every week or two and give you context as to what's going on out there in the world and how people are writing and viewing Diablo Immortal. But that will do it for me on this one, and as always, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. I will also link to the source material down below, remember, if you'd like to pull that up. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.